continuing on the Roar webinar series. I'm happy to have you here. I am intrigued with what you do and how you got to where you're at. So can I have you just take a minute and just say who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. So I have been in the business for about going on 15 years now. And I started out doing publicity, moved over to marketing. Now I'm heavy over into brand. And in between there, became this thing called influencer. No one, quite knew what it was when it was happening about 7 years ago. And so my first engagement was with Lincoln Motor Company. And that was my first foray into the whole influencer type like thing. In between there as well, I was also doing a lot of writing. So I was writing for Black Enterprise, Business Insider, like those types of publications. So I was doing a little bit of everything. And I've always been one of those types of people where you need to have more than one discipline that you're able to do. And really looking at where we are right now in COVID, it is essential to be able to know how to do more than one thing, things of that nature. So I am very, very grateful that I started doing that early on in my career of just being able to do a lot of different things and having my hands into a lot of different pots. So I know that you guys are wondering, like, why in the world is she in athletic attire? And this is the reason why, and shout out to Gap. Reason why is because as we talk about influencer relationship and management and how do you become an influencer and things of that nature inside of COVID-19, this is a different way that you are seeing brands interact with who and what they call influencers. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen the celebrities that have been doing at-home videos. That is an influencer engagement campaign through California. We're about to do like some, it's this big concert that's going to be happening, I believe, on the 16th. Again, they got a lot of influencers and celebrities to come and to talk about what's going on and how we as a people, figure out how do we move past this when it is time for us to do that. And so that's why I have my workout gear on, because right now it is heavy to work out from home. All the gyms are closed, so you have to be very much so, creative in how creatives are creating content. And so you will see a bunch of brands are promoting, stay at home, work out at home, yoga mat at home, those types of things. And so that's the climate that we are in, even in an influencer type like climate. And so you will see multiple emails about, buy the workout clothes, everything is this percentage off and things of that nature, trying to get people to, hunker down in the homes, but also to have some type of normalcy, if you will, inside of the home as well.
So, Aniesia, but let's talk about, and thank you, because that's all really important. I think, you're talking about the brands that you're seeing through the videos, the webinars, that celebrities, but I want you to talk about what an influencer is in a really quick nutshell.
Yeah, so an influencer is literally can be anybody. It's someone who exerts some type of influence over people, to get them to buy things, to get them to try things, or to just get them to do some type of action. So it's some type of call and action that you want this person to do. Despite what most people think, that you have to have like this major big following to be an influencer. You have to have X amount of millions of followers to do something. That is so beyond the case. And you have different classifications of influencers as well. You have your micro influencers and you have like your big influencers as well. Your micro influencers, those are the people who have maybe under 5,000 followers. They may even have 2,500. They may even have 500. What matters from the micro influencer standpoint is that from a brand perspective, they don't care how many followers you have. It's about what is the conversion rate for you to be able to get someone to do some type of action, right? So micro influencers, they have been rising and rising over the years. You'll see a lot of like, for example, if you are on Instagram, I'm pretty sure you have seen a Fashion Nova ad.
Yes.
Fashion Nova is like all over the place. And it is a well-known thing that, you know, they don't necessarily pay you to market their product, but they will give it to you in products. So you will see all the celebrities, you will see, again, micro influencers as well, talking about Fashion Nova, have Fashion Nova on. And of course, unless you've been underneath a rock, they of course endorse Cardi. Cardi has several collections, if you will, with Fashion Nova. But again, that's how it began. And now Fashion Nova is $1 million company. It's all over the place because they were seeding out product to your micros, and then it got bigger and bigger. But that's what an influencer is. It can be from a social justice perspective. You have a lot of celebrities, a lot of people that are very conscious right now. And so they do a lot of conscious type like marketing. So those very same folks that they want you to come out in March, the Black Lives Matters, those types of things, those very people that that are right now, there's a lot that are doing so COVID-19 things with trying to help people to get payments for rent and things of that nature. Those are all influencers. And it doesn't necessarily, again, have to be a product. It can be a thing. It can be a service. It can be get out and vote. It can be a message, but that's what an influencer is. And we can, you know, break down and get into, you know, the disparity between minority influencers and Caucasian influencers, because there is such a thing. But that's pretty much what an influencer is.
So, Aniesia, walk me through whether or not the brands find you or you find the brands. How does that happen?
Gotcha. So sometimes brands find you. In my case, I've been very fortunate, again, because I am also a journalist as well, that they will come and find me. So sometimes it's, hey, like, can you do this campaign for me? Like tomorrow, I'm doing a campaign with Morgan Stanley. But that relationship started is because I did some work for Morgan Stanley last year. I did some brand work for them. And so because they know that I play in these different verticals, they called and said, hey, we're going to be doing something on Friday and next week. We would like to engage you to be an influencer. So that happens a lot from a journalistic standpoint. I get pitched all the time for different things because they want me to write about them as well. So it's like, it's a fine line, you know, between, you know, journalist and influencer, that sort of thing. But I consider myself true and true a journalist. I've been writing for a very long time. I just so happen to be able to do influencer engagement very well, and I get called to do those things as well. For someone who is looking to get into being an influencer, they may reach out to the brand. They may see a brand with like maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and they see that as an opportunity to be able to help them to build their brand organically with them. They may reach out, but it just all depends on what you feel comfortable, you know, with doing. As you can see, brands are very much so out there, if you will. If you reach out to them, if you send them a Twitter, if you send them a DM on Instagram, 9 times out of 10, they are going to respond. So that's just another opportunity if you want to be, you know, proactive, if you will, and trying to figure out how you set up and, you know, become an influencer, if you will.
So, Aniesia, you personally are, as you mentioned, you started in publicity, you went to marketing, you went to brand, you're also an influencer. How about someone that doesn't have that background? Maybe they haven't spent, because I know you're a great writer. So a lot of your stuff, you've been writing about different products, but the other people, I'm just looking at your ear now. Um, but other people that may not be journalists, but may have a large following, they are not sure how to tackle being an influencer.
Yeah. So again, being so being an influencer is really about being authentic and you cultivating your audience in your authentic self, right? Now, make no mistake about it. People, like I said, send me a lot of things all the time and want me to try it or write about it, what have you. But what my audience knows is if I don't like something, then I don't write about it. I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to do any of that. If it is not, I don't do like sight unseen type like things. So if I don't see it, if I haven't gone there, if I haven't experienced it, then I don't talk about that thing because my audience knows I am very, very authentic. So for someone who does not write, it's building up your audience, one. And number two, it's building up trust. Does your audience trust you?
Mm-hmm.
Does your audience believe whatever it is that you tell them? Do they believe that? Case in point, for example, I get people to pitch me all the time the Kardashian stuff. You have never ever in your life seen me write about, promote anything from a Kardashian ever. And I don't think that I would. I just don't think that I would. But again, that's my brand problems. That's who I am as a person and who my audience knows who I am. So if they ever saw me promoting something about a Kardashian, what have you, literally that would be like, okay, Aniesia, like what is this? Like this is not something that you do because I have built trust over years so that people understand that when I say something or when I do something that it is the real deal. I have seen it and I have done it. So that's what you should do if that's something that you want to do as far as being an influencer. One, again, like I said, be authentic. Two, build trust. Make sure that trust is there. And three, don't be like everybody else. Don't go find some influencer that you think that is like the bomb.com and like I'm going to copy whatever she does or whatever have you because her anointing and her blessing is hers and it's not yours. So you need to figure out what is special about you and the things that you bring to the table that people need to hear. Everybody has a voice, right? So what do you want your voice to be and how do you want that voice to be authentic? And that's how you become an influencer. And then it takes time. Like like I said, I've been in the game for 15 years. So this did not, I just didn't wake up one day like, you know what, I'm gonna be an influencer. You know what, I'm gonna be a writer. Like I'm just gonna do, like I didn't do that. It took years of honing. It took years of networking and actually being able to produce something, right? And we'll talk about like, okay, so you have a brand interested. You want to, reach out to a brand. What do you do? And what do you send them?
Right.
After the campaign, what does that look like? And that makes the difference between you consistently getting influencer work than you doing like the one-off type like things, or they just send you product and they do not pay you. That's the difference of what it is that you do with it once you have it.
Super. So we talked about the influencer on the influencer side. Let's talk about a small brand that wants to promote their work. How do they go about in this sea of people finding the right influencer that can help them with their product?
Yeah, so a lot of brands, they actually have an influencer department, which actually does this work. And they literally, their job is literally to comb through analytics, they comb through social, they comb through hashtags to see who is talking about what, and then what looks authentic that matches to their brand. But that's that brand work. So if you say, hey, I have a budget of about $5,000 that I want to spend. Most of the time that this is their marketing budget, like for the year when you have like smaller brands. So they may not have a whole bunch of money to be able to pay out to people. They still have to do some type of digital. They still have to do some type of marketing within, their company. So they'll, push out, again, I give you $5,000 for your marketing budget. You may say it's set aside $2,500. That's how much I'm going to set aside for all of my influencer work. And so that's what they do. Again, they comb through social, they comb through hashtags, they comb through other brands to see what other influencers are working with them as well. That's how I got tapped to be an influencer for 2 years for Family Dollar. They saw me doing work with P&G. P&G has a lot of products inside of Family Dollar.
Family Dollar then reached out to me because they are based in North Carolina and I'm a North Carolina girl. So immediately they called me. It was like, hey, like, would you work with us? We know it's not like your luxury brands that you're used to, but we would like to work with you. And I was like, yeah. I'm a Carolina girl. My mother still goes to Family Dollar. So again, it was a good mesh there with us having that partnership. And then I ended up being on a coupon. I never have been on a coupon in my life, but somebody in Atlanta, they was like, girl, you were on a coupon and I saw you in the mail today. So like that was crazy. But that's how it happens sometimes. But they search out, they reach out, and that's how, from a brand perspective, that's how brands come and attract other influencers.
I think it's important what you said. You've been at it for 15 years. This isn't happenstance. You have to work, you have to do your research, and you have to make those connections. Now, for people, walk me through the different types of work that you do. I want to talk about luxury brands, your product, but I also want to talk about which social media outlets do you feel connect with you the most?
Got you. So, and I will always say from a brand perspective, and I always give, because I'm a SME brand from that perspective. I always say you have to be on the social networks that make sense for you. Right. So even though I have all three. I have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I do not do Snapchat. I used to do Snapchat just for the filters, and then I would go and put it on Instagram. And I think a lot of people were doing that, but I don't even open the thing anymore. But I get the most opportunity, crazy. I get the most opportunity from Twitter, then Instagram, then Facebook. And reason why Twitter is number one is because I chose to build my platform on Twitter. When Twitter had just came out, it was just a thing. Nobody thought that it was going to be around, kind of like the way Facebook was. Facebook was a little bit more like a MySpace. And so I really wasn't that much interested in it. Like my aunties and my mom, they're all on Facebook. And so I saw Facebook, and I still do, as like, these are like my personal, folks. Like my mom shares pictures and holidays and things of that nature. So I don't particularly like to do engagements on my Facebook because that's my personal, fam. So Twitter, I get hit up a lot there. I'm verified on my platforms. So I get hit up a lot there because, again, I'm a trusted source. So they hit me up there as well. Instagram just became very authentic because I do a lot of travel and I do a lot of luxury travel. And so that's more like, they want to see what it is that you're doing, follow through the journey with you. Twitter is more of a conversation, that type of thing. And like I said, Facebook, I try not to do too much on Facebook because those are my folks, and they see enough advertisement everywhere else. And I try to keep that as much advertisement free as I can. But that's how my opportunities come.
Now, Aniesia, before we go into your luxury brand, why did you not mention LinkedIn?
Yes. So putting on my other hat here, like I said, I've been in the business for over 15 years. I am also a marketing branding SME as well. So I work with Fortune 500 companies all day long on branding them, doing strategy for them, marketing, that sort of thing. And so for me, I had to figure out for me what was going to work as far as separating the brand so that they know when you hit me on my LinkedIn, this is in this vertical. And when you hit me on social, this is in my vertical. Now, sometimes on Twitter, it switches over into the vertical of a LinkedIn. It just all depends on what the opportunity is. But for Aniesia, for me, for my brand, I had to make sure that that was distinctive and that folks understand. Sometimes on the corporate side, when you're doing consulting and things of that nature, they may shun away from that. They don't necessarily want to hire an influencer, if you will. They want to hire the MBA girl that's over here telling people how to get out of their mess and to fix their strategy. That's what they want to hire. So I keep those separate. And again, sometimes it spills over, but more than not, it doesn't. And I've been able to be very successful in that, where it's not a deterrent. Now, sometimes they'll, like in the process or what have you, or after I'm working on a project, they'll be like, oh my God, like, I didn't know you were verified, or, oh my God, like, I didn't know you had all these followers. And that's for a reason. Because again, it's like on a need to know. When I'm working in corporate, I have that corporate hat on. And that's it. I'll tell you one time that there was a crossover. So I was working for LA County, and I was doing some engagement for them for 2 jails that they were trying to build, and was doing some crisis PR and strategy for them. In between that, like I said, I do a lot of auto and things of that nature. So I was driving, I can't say the brand, but I was driving one of the vehicles for the brand, just like how I normally do, no problem. Come to find out, another office was handling a sub brand. So like, for example, you got Toyota, then Toyota's sister is Lexus, right?
Right.
So it was a situation like that. I was with one brand, but the agency was representing the other brand. And they were like, oh my God, like, how did we not know this? And it really became a big thing because, and even though I wasn't working on the work, I had no preview to the work. I didn't even know they were even working on the work. They thought that it was a conflict of interest because I was doing work for that agency, and they didn't know, the other hand didn't know what the other hand was doing. So that's why I try to keep those things separate, so that those things don't happen, so that it's not to be made to appear like it's a conflict of interest, but that has happened, and we literally had to have a real conversation about it because they were trying to take away my influencer money and I was like, yeah, no, because that is one thing. Again, I am very upfront and honest about it, and when we're in the interview process or have you, like, like I tell you, like, this is what this is. And so, of course they had to, figure out how they were going to work that out, because I wasn't, giving away no money. But that but that does happen, and that's another reason why I said, like, I try to leave that separate on my LinkedIn. I don't do those things on my LinkedIn. It is very specific for a reason. And just to plug from a social strategy, you don't have to be on everything. Just because there are tons of social media out there doesn't mean that you have to be there. You have to be where your audience is and what serves you, which is why I also do not agree with, how people like put the same message on everything and spray it out, right? Well, you don't have the same audience on all 3 platforms. So the content should be tailored to the actual platform that you have. And then from an influencer standpoint, if you know that you have more engagement on Twitter versus on Instagram, on Facebook, don't take an opportunity away from someone else who could provide that engagement because you just want the check and you just want the money. It has to make sense, not only for you, but also for the brand as well and for the outcome. And we'll probably talk about that as well. But like, okay, so what happens once you actually get the actual, influencer campaign? What happens afterwards? Those types of things. And that is also, again, a big difference between the folks who always get influencer campaigns, who are consistently working all the time, versus those people who just get like your one-offs and things of that nature.
Before we talk about that, I want you to maybe shed some light on, say you work for a brand and now you no longer are part of that company, but you will need to build up your own personal brand. What do you recommend that person do?
Yes. So if people have not learned anything at all from being in this COVID-19 is that you have to build your own brand. You are not the company that you work for. You are you. And that is something that I have done all of my whole entire professional career. I've always maintained that individuality. And I always understood who exactly I was and what exactly my brand stands for. So regardless if I work for the White House or for whoever it is that I'm working for, they know me and they know my brand and they know what they're going to get. They know that they are going to get excellence on any campaign that I work for, be it if it's an influencer campaign, but if we're doing a strategy campaign, it does not matter. They know that Aniesia is going to deliver. And that's why I get the phone calls. So if people don't realize anything else, jobs will come and go. Okay, jobs will come and go. Freelance, as you can see, a lot of freelancers were just laid off yesterday. Like, it is like a bloodbath right now in our industry. They will come and go. But if you don't establish who you are as a person, and that is your particular brand, you're going to always be hopping to one thing over the next. A lot of people tell me all the time, it's like, Aniesia, like, you have just like reinvented yourself. Like, I don't know how many times or what have you. And I'm able to see years down the line about what's going to come and what's going to happen, if you will. So I always pivot before everybody else pivots. And I don't know how that happens, and I'm just grateful to God that I'm able to see that, but I always pivot before the industry pivots so that I can be where it is that I'm supposed to be.
Aniesia, one of the things that I really love about you is that you have a huge, strong brand, and it's lively, it's vivacious, it's fun, but you also have the background and the professional part of your business, which a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and that is very true. And again, I work hard at that. I work very, very hard at that, because whatever I tell you, whatever it is that I'm putting out there, I can back that up. Like, I can tell you how these influencer campaigns are supposed to run, because I've been on both sides. I've been on the side of actually doing it for a brand, and then I've been on the side actually hiring other influencers and doing whole campaigns around them as well. So you have to know both sides of the coin to be able to play. Like, a lot of folks will come to me like, oh, Aniesia, like, I'm doing a conference, or I'm doing blah, 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 blah. Like, I need sponsorship money. Like, do you know any brands that will sponsor, blah, blah, blah. And I always tell them, yeah, I do, but I'm not on that side of the business. I'm not on that side of the business of asking companies for money to sponsor anything. I'm the one that they call in to help them out of their problems. And be it if it's an influencer engagement or if it's a freelance type situation, I know what side that I'm on and that I play on. And I'm always that resource that a company calls when they need to be able to fix something. And I want to stay in that position to where I'm able to do my best work, if you will. I know what side of the coin that I'm on. So that's very important to me. That's very ingrained. When I got 40 under 40 2 years ago, people were surprised because I didn't have like this company name behind me getting this award.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the award because I'm an advisor for Black Girls Code, and then I also was doing a lot of work for the Clinton Foundation, and that's what I got it for. But it does not matter what the company name is. If you are dope, people will find you. If you do good work, people will find you, and you will always have some type of opportunity. And it may not be as big as the next person. It may not look as glamorous as the next person, but you will never lack. There will not be a lack there. When you know who you are, you know whose you are, and you do good work, like, you cannot be denied.
I love that. I love that. So before we go into your luxury brand, just spend a couple minutes on the influencer campaign that you just talked about, managing that.
Yes. So I was doing one of the projects that I am like so most proud of, I helped to launch a robotics Barbie for Mattel, and I did it with Black Girls Code. These are my girls.
Yes.
Yeah, and I literally had to seed about 5,000 Barbies across the country, to different schools, to different organizations, to different girls, so that they can know that there is something out there that looks like them. Barbie has a job, and she has a robotics job, which is so badass.
Mhm,
And so that's one of like my projects that I was very, very proud to do, and a lot of people don't know that I did. That was actually the #1 selling Barbie that year, which was bomb. But I had to literally, I know a lot of folks, when you do this type of influencer work, people know who you are, you know them, the folks to go reach out to. You also know who works and who does not work, that sort of thing. And so I pretty much just, went into my arsenal, like, hey, I'm doing this project, with my girls and with Mattel, and this is what I want to do. I set up KPIs and benchmarks for what it was that I needed for them to be able to produce for me as well. And then we were able to run a successful campaign. I will say, when I was doing that, when I reached out to some folks, they didn't have a media kit. They didn't have the information that they needed to have, but they wanted to be an influencer. And I'm like, well, who are you influencing if you don't have any data to be able to back up what you're saying? You don't have anything. I'm not going to go on your Instagram. Like, I'm not going to go on that, because it is a business. When I start paying money for influencers, that is a business for them. And some influencers have managers, which, go in between or what have you, which is the craziest thing, I think. But anywho, but yeah, so like some of them, they didn't even have what they needed to have, but because they had millions of followers, they thought that, okay, well, I have all these followers, so you should just pay me. And I'm just like, nah, you don't. I would rather rock with this young lady that has 2,500 followers that are dedicated to her and to the brand and what it is that she stands for. She sent me over a 3-page media kit, and I'm totally fine with that. I mean, mine is about 10 pages, but she sent me over like 3 pages, and I was happy because she gave me some quantitative data. And that is one thing to know about being an influencer. If you cannot show the brand how you have moved the needle, you have moved sentiment, you have moved product, you have moved services, okay, that KPI there, they're not going to work with you again. So you have to be very clear on, this is what I can deliver. It's not about likes and how many people heart you. And that's great. That's a vanity metrics, but it does not move the dollar for them. And at the end of the day, if I'm on the other end saying, okay, we spent $5 million on influencer engagement for this year, what exactly did we get back? If you cannot show how you've been able to help to elevate this brand outside of a like and a follow, 9 times out of 10, when they get someone like me that comes in and I'm looking at the analytics, I'm like, yeah, we're not going to work with that person anymore. So starting out, be very clear about, this is what I can deliver. This is what my audience delivers. Even breaking down, I have 50%, males. I have 49% females. This is their demographics. I have the most followers in, the East Coast, or whatever those things are. You need to know what those metrics are to be able to deliver those things. And I will take that person that has 2,000 followers over somebody that has 25,000 followers and they can't tell me anything.
I love it. I love it. Because you're right. I mean, some of the things that you're talking about, being prepared, having the background information, because again, like you said, just because you have X amount of followers doesn't mean that they're going to buy whatever you're trying to sell, that they don't have the trust in you. And number 3, the data, the analytics. How important is that? That you, because you are considering yourself a business, right? That you have the data to support your claims. I have X amount of people that follow me on Twitter. They're able to, I know that these companies sponsored this because of my direct connection with them. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. So now I want to segue into your luxury brands. Can you walk us through what that is, how you thought of it, and where you're at with it?
Oh, absolutely. So it's called My Global Life. My Global Life, it kind of like warped into, again, it kind of like grew up, right? So when I was talking to you about me establishing my brand as Aniesia, it was very important for me to be able to do that regardless of what sector that I was walking in. When I started to do a lot of travel and writing in the luxury space, I had to look through the clutter to see exactly, again, where was I going to be inside of this ecosphere, and what did I want to be known for inside of this space, and how could it grow with me as I also grew with the brand as well. And that's where My Global Life came from. My Global Life is about being global on your own terms. On your own terms. You can be global in your own city. You can be global, you know, in the US. It's about, again, what matters to you and being able to elevate your thinking, if you will, to want to do better, to want to be better, to want to see different things. And so that's how My Global Life, you know, came about. So I am Aniesia. And I was like, okay, this is getting to be bigger than what I thought that it was going to be. And I also wanted to create a platform to where if people wanted to come and write, they did not go through, you know, your traditional avenues, like going to a business school or writing school and, you know, freelancing at the Washington Times or the Post or whatever have you. I wanted to be able to give those people who wanted to have a voice to be able to write a place to go, because I used to be that person. I used to pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch to write for folks until I finally got a yes, right? So I wanted to be able to provide those people with the opportunity to be able to do that. Hence, aglobalifestyle.com came into about. So I started off small with like 3 people, then it grew. So now I have, I have about 6, 7 writers. I have an editor. I have a really, you know, functioning publication, and we do all types of fun stuff. Like I said, we travel the world. We eat good. We drive good. You know, we do everything. And so it's like my baby, and I'm glad to be able to give something out there to the world that is recognized. One of the things that that really like brought it home for me last year, it was my 20th reunion, and I went home for homecoming. And so I am like, you know, walking through the picnic and everything, and literally people was like, oh my God, that's My Global Life. Yeah, My Global Life. Like, it was like people were just dropping it over and over and over again. And I'm just like, wow, like that just, you know, it's one thing for people in the world to, you know who you are. It's another thing when people in your home know who you are that you don't talk to. And so I was like, okay, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is going where it's supposed to go. And so that's aglobalifestyle.com. You know, we are a high-end luxury publication, and like I said, we're open to all who want to write. I do a lot of campaigns out of there as well. I know, like for the holidays, I do massive holiday guides, and it's like, you know, magazine style type like holiday guides that brands really like. But again, it's authentic. When you look on my social, when you see me going places and doing things, you know, I don't believe in like front and photograph. I don't believe in that. Like, it's a purpose of why I'm here, and I'm working, and I want to be able to take people on a journey to be able to see what it is that I see. Because anything that I write that is up anywhere, I've been to it, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I touched it, because again, travel costs money. And I know that everybody can't travel the way that I travel. I mean, I do a lot of 4 and 5 star and things of that nature, and people can't travel like that. So when they do, it needs to be what it is that they see the pictures, that the pictures say that it is. It needs to be what the video says it is. And so they know that if I say, no, I went there, this is my experience, and they know, like, no, she did that. Like, no, she did that. So again, I'm just very, very authentic about what it is that I'm putting out there, especially for a global lifestyle. I get people who want to advertise on our site all the time.
What's the website?
And I turn it down.
Yeah.
Because it's not in brand with the site and where it is that we want to go. So I don't take everything either. But that's a global life.
Give me the name of the website again so I can put it on the chat.
Sure. globallifestyle.com.
Super. I just put it in the chat.
Yep, that's right.
That way folks can go in. I actually spent a hot minute today going in there and I loved it. As you know, I had a magazine, so I could really appreciate all the work, and it's really well done. The graphics, the writing, I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm very proud of, being a publisher, it allows me also to transfer those other skills as well, because I know the back end of media. I know the back end of all of those systems and things of that nature. So when I'm working on the corporate side, I know what that stuff needs to be. I know what the SEO is. I know what those things are, which helps me to propel in other different avenues as well. I have to hire people. I have to do paperwork. Like, this is a true business. So those things are very much so, transferable. I take all of my photos anywhere I go. I don't have a photographer. I take them. And so I had to get very, very good at editing as well. How to edit my pictures for them to look quality. Like, I will never forget, I had went to Nevis and I stayed at the Four Seasons, and I was taking pictures and just posting it. And then they was like, well, we want to bring you back just so that you can take photos. And so my photos are in all of their sales material, on their website. And so, like, we update them on a yearly basis. But again, that's because I had to learn self-sufficient. How do I do this? And how do I make it so that the quality is on par with that? And so I get paid for my photos. So anytime now that I write, they pay me for the writing and they pay me for my own photos.
And I have to tell you, one of the things that stuck with me when I went to see your website, because before you and I talked today, I wanted to make sure that I had gone in previously, but I wanted to go in and get an impression, right? And I was struck by the photos, and I thought they were really, really good. So not only is the writing right on point, but the photos were actually just really professional.
Yeah.
I can't take photos like that. Shadows in the background.
Listen, I was doing the photo shoot for the Four Seasons, and I was at one of those one of their houses that's on the golf course or what have you, that they sell privately from the hotel. And I was at the pool. Literally, I was laying on my stomach to get the shot of the pool and of the sky and everything at the same time. And they were looking at me like I was crazy, but that picture sold like the most. So, like, I get it. Any ways necessary, I can get my photo. I get it. I am not too proud to get on the ground to get what I need to get.
Aniesia, what can people do to reach out to you?
Yeah, I am, like I said, very social, so you can always reach out to me. If it's business, I prefer email. I do not do business over DMs or any of that. So if it's something that you need for me to look at, definitely email me. All of my socials are set up to where if you push contact me, it'll go like directly to my email. You can also go onto globallifestyle.com. I get all the inquiries, so they all come to me so that I check them out as well. But yeah, I'm pretty much, you can find me if you need something, like, yell at me, whatever at me, and I can, get back to you as well. But that's me and the brand.
I love it. Aniesia, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been great information. And I think that the nice thing is this information is not out there readily available for people that are interested. Because it's one thing if you know the industry, if you've known publishing, or if you know marketing, then it's a little bit easier. But if you don't and you have a brand that you want to connect with, then this is very informative. Thank you again. Do you have
no problem.
Anything you want to say before we log off?
Yes. Like I said, for those who are watching this and you want to get into how do I be an influencer, what have you, 3 things. Again, 1, be your authentic self. No one wants another copy of anyone else but you. 2, trust. If they cannot trust you, if they cannot believe what it is that you're talking about, and your value system isn't together, you are not going to make it. You're not. And 3, time. It takes time. Your race is not like anybody else's race. Be tunnel vision. I tell folks that a lot. Tunnel vision. Concentrate on what it is that you're doing. Do not let the joy of someone else's getting something that you thought you should get and all that other stuff. Do not let that sway you. Do not let anybody else's numbers sway you or anything else. Run your race and you'll be fine.
Thank you, Aniesia. And it's a testament to you, who you are, that you're sharing this wealth of information with us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.